In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the 3 Mixup Skewbs. I'll start by giving some basic information about them all, then give a short individual review on each of them, and then discuss which ones, if any, are worth getting. The Mixup Skewbs were released in 2020, and each cost $6 on QZZ, about £5. They are the same size as a standard 4x4, and I think it was an excellent decision to make them a bit bigger than a standard skewb, as it makes the turning, especially the turning of the mix-up sections, a lot easier. The turning of these cubes is pretty good. The skewb turns are about as good as a budget skewb. Nothing amazing, but certainly not bad. The mix-up moves are fine, as long as you line everything up correctly, and there can be some popping issues on these cubes if you don't. Overall, the turning of these cubes is acceptable, so let's get into the individual reviews. So let's first take a look at Mixup Skewb 1. The solve of this cube is relatively simple. There are 2 steps to the solve: reducing it into a skewb and then solving the skewb. The mix-up moves don't affect the skewb moves, so there's no parity or anything like that with the skewb solve, and this is the case with all of the mix-up skewbs, not just this one. The reduction step of this solve is very simple, with the strategy being to just put pieces into place individually. You might run into a case where you've put all the pieces that you could put into place in one move, but some pieces remain that are in the correct orbit, but not in the correct location. In this case, you can do something like this. Next, let's have a look at Mixup Skewb 2. This cube is the same as Mixup Skewb 1, except for the fact that each of the mix-up pieces have a new cut down the middle, doubling the amount that it has, and adding some slight shape-shifting to the cube. This makes it slightly more challenging, most notably at the last few mix-up pieces, but really it just makes the solve longer, and you won't have to learn any new algorithms to be able to solve it. Finally, we have Mixup Skewb 3. Following the pattern set out by the others, this cube has each mix-up piece split into 3 pieces. Once again, this doesn't change much, except for making the solve longer and more tedious. The big exception to this is the last 2 mix-up pieces. For these pieces, you will have to learn specific algorithms, making it by far the most challenging part of the solve. So, should you get these cubes? Well, I think that Mixup Skewb 2 is worth getting, but Mixup Skewbs 1 and 3 are not, both for different reasons. Mixup Skewb 1 is too simple, and doesn't really add that much to a standard skewb solve. I can't see myself choosing to solve this over a normal skewb. Mixup Skewb 3, on the other hand, is too tedious. The pairing of the mix-up pieces takes too long on this cube, and is not interesting enough to justify that. You don't even get an interesting last 2 centres, like on the Mixup Skewb 2, because the last 2 centres of Mixup Skewb 3 are almost impossible to do without algorithms. However, I do think that Mixup Skewb 2 is worth getting. This cube adds just enough complexity to a skewb without it being a long and tedious solve, and for just £5 is definitely worth getting if you're looking for a medium complexity, non-WCA puzzle. So, which Mixup Skewb is best? Mixup Skewb 2.